This husky is not thirsty at all, but it's monopolizing the only water source. Whenever any dog dares to come close, it fiercely drives them away. Other dogs are angry but dare not speak up. They can only silently lower their heads. But the new big guy is an exception. He walks towards the ice in front of the husky, easily creating an ice hole. All the dogs rush over when they see this. Buck welcomes everyone, generously sharing the water source. The husky, witnessing all this, shows no self-reflection. Instead, it becomes even worse. It thinks as long as it runs fast enough at the front, the master will always favor it, not knowing that a lead dog's most important quality is winning hearts. That day, the mistress was scouting ahead. Unexpectedly, the ice suddenly cracked. The next second she fell straight into the freezing lake. George rushed over when he saw this, but by then the woman could barely hold on. She was gradually drifting towards the lake bottom. At this critical moment, Buck moved like lightning. He leaped past George, and jumped in without hesitation. In the darkness, Buck carried the mistress on his back, then repeatedly crashed his body against the ice. Finally, he managed to save her. But by then Buck was exhausted. Not only was he dog-tired, but the couple beside him started showing affection. Soon Buck could no longer hold on. His body drifted helplessly into the darkness. George anxiously paced on the ice, constantly calling Buck's name. He quickly found the right spot, then took out his knife and started chopping at the ice. But the ice was too thick. The knife broke after just a few strikes. George fell to his knees in agony. He never thought this dog, who seemed to only slow them down, would risk his life to save his wife. At that moment, seeing a tool handed to him by someone, George grabbed it without thinking, and started chopping at the ice again. But suddenly he seemed to realize something. George turned his head. It was the drowning Buck who had handed him the stick. Seeing this intimate moment between him and the master, the husky was so angry its ears went crooked. Even the mistress, who used to dislike Buck, had started to trust him. She even gave him an extra chicken leg. But unfortunately, the husky saw this too. It knew it was time to settle things. So that night, just as Buck had saved a rabbit, before he could hop around, the husky caught him right there. Then it looked at Buck provocatively, not knowing how fierce its expression was now, would soon turn into embarrassment. Then it slowly walked towards Buck. Buck, who came from the city, had never seen such a situation. He was so scared he didn't dare make a move. But two tigers cannot share one mountain. The husky lunged at him. Although Buck was twice its size, living pampered in a villa had stripped away his wild nature. He was knocked down in just a few moves. Then the husky, fighting dirty, made mocking gestures at the unconscious Buck. Then it walked towards the team, trying to win their support. But the dogs would rather leave, then return to the husky's side. They kept barking at Buck, hoping he would pull himself together. But unexpectedly, in the next second, Buck actually bared his ape fangs and stood up. His inner wildness was fully awakened. His fierce appearance scared the husky silly, but to avoid bringing shame to the dog clan, it still charged forward despite its fear. Buck was no longer timid now. He stood firmly and waited for the right moment. With a side movement, he bit back and caught the husky's neck. Then Buck, as if handling a child, threw the husky straight into the air. Finally, Buck pinned down the husky with his paw. Looking at the dogs, who could barely contain their cheers, the husky knew it had already lost. Thus, under the watchful eyes of all the dogs, it stood up and left dejectedly.